Hey,
How are you?
I'm great.
Good. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I feel like it was a perfect timing today because obviously tomorrow was supposed to be the opening ceremony of the 2020 Paralympic Games, and then today marks the 1 year anniversary. The countdown begins, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know it's crazy. I mean, I honestly, I can't even, I think it's so much has changed. I can't even imagine being at the games right now. And so it's quite weird seeing all the one way or the 1 year to go things. 'Cause you're like, didn't we already have this and this already happened? But yeah, it's just strange how everything has totally changed.
yeah, crazy, crazy. But I mean, the reset has hit, and thank God it was cancelled because I wouldn't have the pleasure of sharing a cup of tea with you this evening. So thank you very much. For everyone joining us, thank you. Myself and Steph actually met as part of the Women's Sports Trust Unlock programme. Now, I was all too aware of Steph's incredible achievements within athletics beforehand, but having met you over the last couple of months, I think you are an absolute inspiration, and I can't wait to pick your brains in the next 30 minutes. As a background, so, I mean, yeah, just all of your achievements are incredible. But born in New Zealand to a Scottish father and an English mother, which is pretty cool, and you grew up in Toronto. But I'll be picking your brains a little bit later on your childhood. But sport was always a big part of your life. And then you've had incredible success, 3 Paralympic Games, 3 Paralympic medals. You are a world champion in the long jump, at home world championships, a European champion. You've set 5 world records. I feel like your CV is pretty impressive. So honestly, thank you so, so much for joining me. It really means a lot.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I think what you're doing is awesome. I've loved these cafe natters.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, actually, I think, as you know, like I like to kick things off by finding out what everyone wants to know about my guests, and that is how they like their tea. Now, on social media, you have definitely got the question going. You have had a lot of responses. People are wanting to know how Stef Reid likes her tea. So I'm going to try and do that, and you're going to hopefully help in answering 5 quick fire questions, if that's all right. Okay.
It's just like the first thing that comes into your mind, you just go with it.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
actually very intrigued. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, breakfast tea or herbal tea?
Oh, herbal.
Okay, chamomile, mint, or lemon and ginger?
Oh, what time of day?
Oh,
Is
okay.
that too specific?
No, go on, go on.
In the evening, definitely chamomile. If we were starting the day, lemon and ginger.
Okay, okay. So you don't like to drink the same tea then? I'm thinking, right? You like to vary
Oh
it up.
no, it's very dependent on the time of day and what I'm planning to do. Yeah.
Love that. Okay, okay. So this might be a bit weird, but your accompaniment with your tea, would you prefer a biscuit, a slice of cake, or some chocolate?
Oh, well, actually, I've come prepared with my dark chocolate.
Right on cue. Okay, that answers my question. Okay, which chocolate is that?
So I dark chocolate, and do you know what? I have literally tried every single dark chocolate there is going, and without doubt, Co-op, 85% irresistible. One of the cheapest ones on the market. It is the best one.
No, I've got a co-op round the corner from me, and I can't say I've ever had their dark chocolate.
Do you know what? I never would have tried it except that I was in there and I was desperate, and I thought, my goodness, this is the smoothest chocolate I have tried.
Wowza. Okay, okay. I'll definitely be trying that. Okay, so next question. Do you like your tea made by yourself or made by someone else?
Do you know what? I'm happy to have it with someone else made, and that's only because my mom is so specific about her tea. I don't even bother making one anymore because I know she'll be up, adding more water, adding more milk. And so I'm very, what I am given, I will generally drink, even though I have strong preferences.
Interesting. Okay, so you would trust other people to make yours, but maybe if I asked the same question to your mum, she would be saying absolutely not.
No, I mean, you don't go in that territory.
Yeah. well, final question. Okay, so for the benefit of your Twitter followers, basically, what is Stef Reid's preference when it comes to tea making?
Okay, so my ultimate is Rooibos Red Bush. I'm currently obsessed with a vanilla chai. So as you can see, I do slightly, I don't know if you can see, they're slightly controversial. I leave the tea bag in just
Yeah.
because I like it to steep, you know, as long as possible. So I let it steep. I add milk, a pretty generous amount of milk, no sugar, and then I always have it with a square of dark chocolate. That
Very,
is how I do my tea.
very interesting. I mean, I'm not going to lie. So for everyone else, like Steph actually sent me a photo that I'm going to use on my social media later about 10 minutes ago. And Steph, I was zooming in to the photo to try and work out what your tea of choice is. But yeah, interesting. And the chocolate accompaniment. I mean, that's a win-win, right?
Oh, it just I don't normally do sugar in my tea, but I just feel like the dark chocolate just sets it off. I
Oh,
mean, you need something, you need a biscuit or something, and so that kind of thing.
I'd have to agree with you there. Well, I think that's been I'm going to put it out there. I think that's probably one of the most interesting tea selections that I've had on Cuppa and Natter history. So you get that accolade right now. So congratulations.
You know, it was actually we did a training camp in South Africa, and it was the first time I was introduced to some people call it Red Bush, some people call it Rooibos, and I have just been obsessed ever since. And it's the best because there's no caffeine in it, so you can have it at night, which is when I generally like to have it. But it is just heaven.
I'm actually going to go and buy some with my co-op chocolate after this natter. So
Oh,
thank
really?
you very much. Yeah, it started off a trend, I think it's fair to say. But enough tea chat. I'm very aware that I can't waste this 30 minutes talking to one of the most successful athletes in Britain right now, talking about tea. But to kick things off, I've started every natter this series being a Olympic and Paralympic Games special with the same question. So I asked my Cuppa and Natter guest basically a question that we can carry on the conversation, not wasting the opportunity that should have been this summer's Olympic and Paralympic Games. So considering that you've been to 3 yourself, this could be a tricky question, but if you had to narrow it down and pick one moment or like performance or yeah, any moment in Olympic or Paralympic Games history that really stands out for yourself, what would it be and why?
As in, like a moment that I was involved in, or the best one that I've watched?
It can be either or. I've had guests say both, so whatever you'd prefer.
I think I'll probably go with a personal one, and I think it was my very first games, which were in Beijing,
Yeah.
and you know, bearing in mind, I was just I had no idea what I was doing. Very start of my career, and I ended up having to compete in 2 events in one day. I had the long jump and I had the 200 meters, and the long jump was the event everyone thought that I was going to medal in, and I went out and I it was, you know, I mean, I just bombed. I had never walked into a stadium that big. I had never seen that many people. And my coach told me after, he just said, I saw it in your eyes the moment you walked in. This is not going to go well. But obviously I couldn't tell you that. But he just said there was just no way to pull you back. And so it was so devastating. I fouled most of my jumps. I finished last. And then I went back to the village and pretty much cried for 2 hours,
Wow.
got some food, and then had to get ready to go back and compete in the 200-meter final. And it was just like, I mean, the emotional roller coaster. I can't, like, you know, your family has flown out there and you just feel like you have just messed it up for everyone. And it is the worst feeling in the world. But I think in that afternoon, in that moment, I just thought, I mean, I can't fix it. I can't change it. The only way to salvage this is to just go and do my best in the 200 meters. And I knew that the one thing that I did not do in the long jump was I did not have a good time. It was just like, oh, it just felt, I don't know, it just felt awful. So I just committed. I just thought, you know what? I'm going to go and have fun. I'm going to have the best time I can. And that's it. So I went back for the 200, and bearing in mind this was not my event. I was in lane 9, which is, if you know athletics, that's where you put the slow people. They're kind of like out, and the fast people are in the middle. But I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do my best. And so you know, you can see the camera panning, and this time instead of it was all And so, I was loving it. And then the race started, and I had a great bend, and actually I was in sixth place off the bend, which was actually really good for me. And I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And then we get to about 150 meters, and the person in the lead trips and falls, and I'm like, what? This never happens. And then she takes out the girl beside her, and I was just like, and so at this point, I'm in fourth place, and I'm thinking, Stephanie, come on, you've got to get up there, like you've got a shot. And I ended up getting the bronze by like the smallest of fractions. But the thing was, I set a massive PB. I had a huge PB by over a second, and it was just the best reminder that you never give up to the end. Because if I had gone there and I had been like really sad and like, oh, this isn't gonna be good, you never know what's gonna happen. And that was probably, yeah, one of my best life lessons.
I mean, that is incredible. I mean, first of all, it's incredible after a few hours earlier, obviously feeling probably the biggest disappointment that you've probably faced in your career in the long jump, and then being able to switch deal and perform, and then obviously, as you said, like things unfolding before your eyes and coming away with a medal. What was that moment like when you finished the race and realised that you're a Paralympic bronze medalist?
I mean, total disbelief.
Yeah.
One, I mean, again, I didn't actually know that much about the rules in athletics, so I didn't even know if the result would stand. I didn't know if we would have to run it over again. But either way, I didn't care because I had a huge personal best, and that was what I went for. But I don't know. I mean, sometimes I find, like, have you ever found that when like the worst thing in your life happens, it almost can be really good because you just think like, I cannot go any lower, and you actually find this incredible freedom. Have you ever found that, like when you're playing?
Of course, all the time. It is, isn't it? It's part and parcel of sport, I think.
You think, I haven't died, and actually I can't do any worse. And so suddenly you just end up in this place where you are totally free, and sometimes that's what you need to perform. And I do sometimes look back in that and think, man, how can I recreate that in a way that didn't involve the massive, horrible failure first? And I just don't know.
Well, it's one of those, isn't it? That actually, who knows what would have happened if you would have come away with, well, so the next two Paralympic Games that you went to, you came away with a silver medal in the long jump. Who knows what would have happened if you did, do as you wanted to do in the long jump? Would you have still come away with a bronze medal in the 200 meters? Who knows?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, yeah, I guess you can't. Yeah. I think it's good, you never know what life is going to throw, and you just, whatever you have, you commit.
Incredible. What story? And then can I ask, like, how did that prepare you for obviously 4 years later competing at London 2012, a home Paralympic Games? Was that an extra added incentive to perform and come away with a medal, especially in the long jump?
Yeah, it definitely was. And I think it was a different experience because when I went to Beijing, that was, everything was kind of new and exciting and scary. Whereas going into London, it was different. And one of the big things was that everyone talked about was they were worried that athletes were going to feel, just this kind of pressure, just the weight of everything, kind of what I experienced in Beijing. And the great thing was I'd already been there and done that. And I just felt so much more prepared. And the crowd wasn't scary. It was just, you would walk in and you just felt like they were just willing you on to do a great job. And it was amazing.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And then, I mean, you come away with a silver medal there. 4 years later, you came away with a silver medal from Rio. So I can only imagine what you're going to do, the wonderful things you're going to do this time next summer. So it's incredible to hear. But as I kind of touched upon earlier, I want to talk about a bit of your childhood. And it sounds like sport was always a big factor and a big part of your childhood growing up. And correct me if I'm wrong, but your first love was actually rugby, not athletics. Is that correct?
It was, yeah. I guess I was really lucky in that I went to a school where our head PE teacher, she'd actually played on the national team for rugby. And so she took it upon herself to set a team up. But for me, I mean, I had grown up playing sport. I had done, in Canada, we played basketball, not netball. So I did basketball, I did volleyball, I did swimming, I did, running and cross country running. And I think the difference with rugby was, I don't know, it was just this like, I think it was the aggression that I really loved, just because you don't always get that outlet, as a girl, as a woman growing up. And I think I was drawn to that aspect of the game, but also I think as an athlete, it really highlighted my assets, which were basically I had a lot of speed and agility, and I was quite quick. But yeah, totally fell in love.
Yeah, and actually, probably your rugby playing days have obviously helped you bring out some of your skills in your athletics career. But you obviously, had to maybe change goals when you had an unfortunate accident at the age of 15 where your right foot was amputated. Now, obviously, you can tell the passion that you obviously had back at school, competing in every sports team possible. But thinking back to maybe your 12-year-old self, the sports mad, rugby mad little girl back then, would you have ever foreseen what has happened in your life and the dizzy, crazy heights that you've been able to achieve in your athletics career?
Um, do you know, and no, I think that's the thing. Life has just taken on like just the craziest twists and turns. But even as a 15-year-old in hospital and just thinking, well, that's it. Sport isn't going to happen again for me. But then even just the journey to get back, it wasn't easy. I actually went back to rugby initially,
Right.
and really wanted to just see if I could still play. And it was so hard because I was constantly comparing myself to the athlete that I was. And one of the things that you lose a lot when you have an artificial leg, not so much speed, but it's agility.
Mm.
And so before, when I thought, I'm like, oh yeah, I could totally make it in between these two players, but I couldn't anymore, and I was just getting sandwiched and slammed. And um, I think it was just athletics came, and it was so nice to not only have just something that was different. I had never really sprinted or long jump, but also I think it was also because it was just me, and I didn't feel like when went back to playing rugby, I felt like I was letting a team down. Whereas if it was just athletics, it was just me, and it was only me that I would kind of, if I didn't do well or if I was too slow, I wasn't holding anyone else back. And so, yeah, it was a really weird mental dynamic. But yeah, standing in the podium in London, and it was just surreal because you're there, it's a home games, and my family, they're great. They can talk their way anywhere. They managed to get like right front and center, and it was just, yeah, it's just wild where it can go.
I can imagine they were absolutely bursting with pride as well. I'm sure they've had many a moments throughout your career that you've made them incredibly proud. But I mean, even we've been speaking for 18 minutes, and what I really, get from you is your never say die attitude, your resilience. It's obviously been a key factor throughout your not only your sporting career but your life. And do you think that resilience is kind of innate, within yourself, or is that kind of something you've learned along your, crazy journey?
I no, I think you learn it. But I think actually the tough thing is it's not a lesson you only learn once.
Mm.
It's like muscles. You can't, if you were fit 2 years ago and then did nothing for
Yeah.
the next 2 years, you're not going to be fit now. And so it's a lesson that you have to commit to and learn every single day. And I think sometimes that's where I've gone wrong. And I think, oh well, things are going great right now. I'm set for life. But then you remember, actually, life changes all the time, like every single day. Scenarios change, situations change. Even, we've just seen it with COVID. Businesses that had an amazing business model, suddenly the world changes. And if you're not online, you've missed out. And I think that's true in every area of life. And so it is just a muscle that's uncomfortable, but you have to accept every single day. Okay, I'm going to be flexible. I'm going to do my best. And as you say, I'm not going to stop until
No.
until this is done.
Incredible. I mean, what a fantastic attitude to have, and actually, you having that thought process throughout your life has obviously helped to inspire many people, not just myself. But you obviously your successes on the track, speak for themselves. But actually, what people might not be as aware of is the fantastic work that you do in giving back to the sport. So in November 2019, I hope this is correct, in November 2019, you were appointed a Vice President of UK Athletics. You were also, you've also served as an athlete representative as part of the London 2017 World Championships Board. You're a member of the BPA Athletics Commission. You do so much within your sport. So I guess I want to know, like, what motivates you to continue to give back and, you know, explore other avenues beyond the capacity as an athlete that you're on the track?
You are well researched, Emily.
Yeah, incredible. I could have spent hours on end researching about you. So much you've achieved. It's incredible, honestly.
Oh, thank you. I think sport literally changed my life and saved my life in so many ways. And I don't mean elite sport. When I started back sport, it was just about, you know, I wasn't good. It was tough, but it was obviously, you know, amputation when you are a teenager is really tough. Especially because, you know, you're already going through so much. And probably one of the things that I struggled with a lot was just feeling like, one, I wasn't good at anything anymore because sport was my life. It was like, well, what else am I going to do? But the other really hard thing was, on top of learning how to do everything differently, I was so uncomfortable with myself and my body and what it looked like now. You don't get an artificial leg right away. Obviously things had to heal, and I was on crutches a lot, and, you know, just everywhere you go, everyone's staring at you, and it's just really tough to feel uncomfortable in your body. And again, a lot of that is because, you know, we're just given so many messages about what bodies should look like and what they should do, which aren't always the most helpful. And so it was sport that brought me to a place where I didn't feel like I had to hide my artificial leg anymore. I wasn't embarrassed about it. I was just like, you know, check out my awesome running leg. Like, of course you should stare. I would stare too. And so it was just this total transformation and, you know, I was just so thankful that I could still run. And I mean, that's just one story. Everyone has a different story of what sport has done for them. But the point is, sport is such a great thing. It changes lives, and it should be front and center and just part of a healthy lifestyle. So that's very much why I want to, you know, just make it accessible and open to as many people as possible. And I think, you know, you kind of do it on two levels. Part of it is I have loved the behind the scenes administration stuff. I'm so proud of the London 2017 Paralympic Games Paralympic World Champs that we put on, because, you know, athletes loved it. Yeah. And it's when you have amazing events like that, it really inspires athletes around the world, Paralympians, to commit their lives to training. Mm-hmm. And that, again, it makes it a big enough deal that you're willing to put other aspects of your life on hold. And that's when we get the amazing performances. And then we get more inspiration, and it kind of just self-feeds. And so the fact that we can host great Paralympic events is a really big thing. But I think the other side of that has just been, you know, just the one-to-one interactions that you have with people. And I think to really inspire someone, that's what it takes. It takes kind of consistent input over a period of time. And yeah, and you know, it's great when you see people finding joy in sport and just knowing what it meant to you, and knowing that people will now watch them, and it just kind of, you know, infiltrates, hopefully across the country, hopefully across the world.
Oh, I mean, I honestly couldn't agree with you more when you say how powerful sport is. And obviously, you know, we have a shared passion of sport. You know, it's our livelihood, it's our purpose every single day, and we obviously love it. But it's, you know, how much you're giving back to other people through your involvement with sport, which I think is just incredibly powerful. And I think, you know, athletics, having an individual such as yourself that is so heavily involved in all of the fantastic initiatives and programs and boards that you're involved in, they're very lucky to have you. And I think athletics is in very safe hands if you've got anything to go and be involved with. So yeah, really, really interesting. Keep doing your fantastic work, because I'm sure it's absolutely groundbreaking for the sport. And obviously,
oh, you're too kind.
Yeah, no, I'm being serious. And obviously your involvement within the 2017 World Championships, I mean, you not only helped make it an incredible event, you know, in terms of the organisation, but actually you did the job on the track becoming a world champion. So actually it's a win-win all round, right?
Do you know what? That was probably So actually, in that World Championships, I was part of the organizing committee. I had to compete, and then pretty much after I finished competing, I was then part of the broadcast team. And there was definitely a moment for those championships. I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. But then you know what? You just press on and you work it out. And my coach was great, and he was super supportive, and he was basically just like, Stephanie, toughen up, you can do it. And so I was like, okay, great, let's do it.
Your coach was very true. You smashed every aspect of it by the sound of it. So yeah, incredible stuff. But I'm very wary that I've obviously bombarded you with questions, and I have been sent quite a few messages from social media with questions for you. Would you mind if I crack on with those?
Go for it.
There's a few good ones. So I'm going to start with Linda, who said, I loved watching you in the final of Celebrity MasterChef in 2018. I actually remember watching this. But I would like to know, what 3-course meal would you cook if you were hosting a dinner party?
Oh, so I would probably start off with, I'm trying to think what I'm recently, do you know what, probably starters are probably my weakest, but my all-time favorite is, it's so simple, but it's so good. So it's kind of like, do you like sushi, Emily?
Of course.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, I would get sushi grade tuna and salmon, and you kind of chop it all up, and then you mix it in a spicy mayo, and then you add in just some sesame oil and some green onions, and you actually spoon it and serve it on a prawn cracker. And
wow.
Oh my goodness, it is one of the best things I've ever had, and it's nice and light. For the second course, I haven't actually made it yet, but I've kind of been thinking about it in my head. I would do lobster. And so what I would do is, lobster is actually super easy. You just steam it for like 5 minutes.
Oh, then
and then I'd have like a bowl, and I'd put it in the cream velouté, and you'd have the lobster, and then I would make cheesy biscuits to go with it. This is a throwback to what I learned how to make in America. And then on top, I would have fried seaweed. Just to get a little bit of a taste of the ocean. You can see I think about this way too much. And for the final course, Linda, what I would do is, if you watch that final, you would see that my panna cotta, it was hurting. Fortunately, the first thing I did when I went home after crying about the panna cotta was I went and I figured out what went wrong. And so basically, it's a coconut panna cotta with a beautiful, what should have been a beautiful mango tulip on top. And then there's like a macadamia nut crumble, and then a tropical fruit compote to go with it. So sorry, that was pretty long.
I mean, I don't know about anyone else that has just listened to the last minute, but my belly is rumbling thinking about it. Also, I must say, I'm going to tell you now, you are one of my favourite follows on Instagram and Twitter, because as a big foodie, I love all of your updates. Yeah, so any of your sort of stuff, I mean, your cooking wise is just top drawer. But by the sounds of it, Linda, if you want to go to a dinner party, Stef Reid's house is the place to go, because that meal sounds top drawer.
So, you know, I'm thinking about it. I kind of want to go make it. Maybe this weekend, I'll have some time.
I mean, I feel like my dinner tonight's going to be a bit of a letdown compared to that, but we'll pass on.
I'll tell you what, I'll make it. I'll take photos and I'll send them to you.
Oh, yeah, please do.
With instructions.
Yeah, please. Would you?
Yeah.
Oh, great. I feel like you need your own cookbook. But anyway, I've got time for one more, if that's all right. Let's go. Bradley would like to know, on Instagram would like to know, in recent years, you have focused mostly on competing in the long jump rather than the 200 meters. What was your reason for this?
Really simply, I wasn't good enough.
Really?
No, do you know what? So, the starts were always kind of, I was definitely more of like an 8:15 runner. Sure. And so my starts weren't great. I could get up to the same top speed. I just couldn't get there quick enough. And so actually it was great. Our head coach kind of sat me down, and she said, you know, we're not, to be honest, in Great Britain, to be funded as a Paralympian in athletics, the standard is that you're going to win a gold medal. Sure. And she kind of sat me down and just said, look, you know, the rate of your progression at the sprints isn't quick enough, but we think that actually you could be world beating in the long jump. We want you to focus your energy on that. But also the truth is, you know what? I just enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
It was, Have you ever watched 100 meters? And sometimes they're panning to everybody at the start, and everyone just looks like they're terrified. You think that doesn't look fun. Whereas, in the long jump, it's not so silly. I really hated being told when to start. Hated it. So the thing is, long jump is, you're there, you can get the crowd going, and yeah, you get that going, and then but the thing is, you're out there for like an hour, hour and a half, and you get to enjoy it. Whereas you've got like 10 seconds, and then they get you off the track, and so part of it is it's just pure enjoyment. I love it.
Oh, incredible. I mean, it's one of those, isn't it, that actually you want to enjoy it. And obviously you've had so much success in the long jump over recent years in particular. So that's probably an incredible decision that you made. But to be honest, as an athlete, it'd be a no-brainer for me because I've always wanted to lap it up when the long jump, triple jumpers, everyone on the side, like clapping. I bet there's no better feeling, is there?
Oh, do you know what? Well, I remember I was, initially in my career, I was always like really shy and like I didn't want to get any attention. And it was actually my coach that made me do it. And I was terrified. I'm like, what if you get there and you start clapping and no one cares and no one does it? You're just like, ridiculous. But a previous coach made me do it because I was I was obsessing over this one aspect of technique, and he's like, I just need to get your mind off of it. And so he's like, I want you to go and call for the clap. And I called for the clap, and I was so nervous about nobody clapping that I didn't even think about what I had to do. And then I just ran and jumped, and it was great.
Oh, so that is a bit of a Cover and Natter exclusive. That actually, I always thought that the clap was for the bit of a ego boost for long jumpers and triple jumpers, but it could be used as the distraction to calm the nerves.
Totally. One of one of our friend's kids, he asked me to, he wanted me to help him with long jump, and I said the most important thing before you start, you turn to the crowd and you get them going. It was, it amounts to an 8-year-old doing it. It was great.
Oh, well, one thing I can't wait to see is Stef Reid back on the track, getting the crowd going with the clap this time next year. Yeah, I can't wait. I look forward to seeing
Actually, you can watch it. Friday, September 4th, we have British Nationals. British Champs are going on, and they'll be on BBC One. And I think I'm up around maybe 6:30. So you can maybe see it sooner.
Okay, I will be watching. Don't you worry. And I look forward to seeing you not only smash the clap, but obviously your performance in the long jump here. I'll take this opportunity to wish you the best of luck at the British Champs. I'm sure you'll be great.
Thanks. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate your time. And I mean, my cup of tea is empty, as you can see.
Mine's, as you can see, the reason I love this is because it's so big. I've still got a little bit left.
I mean, that's a bit of a bowl of tea.
It's from the dollar store. It's had the handle broken like 4 times and it's been glued back on.
Oh, love it. I mean, mug games have always got to be really strong when it comes to Cover and Natter. So yours is top drawer, I'll give you that. But no, Stef Reid, is honestly, I could talk to you for hours, but it's honestly been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. So thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
I've loved it. You've started my week off amazingly.
Oh, no. And the problem is it flies by. So I could have spoken to you for days. But no, really, really interesting. As I said before, an absolute inspiration to so many. And what you've achieved both on the track, off the track, in your career, your life is just absolutely incredible. So thank you very much. And for everyone else, thank you very much for joining us. My next guest for the final episode of this Paralympic and Olympic Games special will be revealed on Thursday at 6 p.m. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But in the meantime, everyone, keep your kettle boiled, keep nattering using hashtag Cover and Natter, and I'll see you again, same time, same place, next Monday. Thank you so much, Stef Reid, you absolute legend. Thank you.
My pleasure. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, everyone.